Hello everyone, welcome to day 4 of going over some League of Legends action in China and Korea, the 13th slate, the January 13th slate I should specify. Uh, to recap yesterday quickly, um, in the LPL side, Rare Atom did get the 2-0 upset over TES. I think the second game was a little bit of a throw from TES. They just seemed kind of out of sorts. And although I did predict Rare Atom to get the upset, I believe top was minus 600. Rare Atom was plus 350, where I bet it. So, obviously, going to toot my horn there a little bit. Happy that the plus 350 underdog comes through. That it feels pretty good early on, sticking with your beliefs of the teams and it coming through there. Rare Atom looked pretty good. I think there's some rookie struggles for their mid laner Strive and their support Zoro, but I'm liking them a lot going forward. And then over in the second game, it was LNG against Ultra Prime. For some reason, the scoreboards are not quite on the Leaguepedia here, which is where I normally check them. But LNG got the 2-0. They stomped pretty hard in game one. Game two was a little bit closer, but they ended up pulling. Or sorry, it was the other way around. Game one was a big comeback. I believe it was about 4 to 5,000 gold lead for Ultra Prime. Then LNG got the game one upset, and then game two was just kind of over from there. And I liked LNG. They look pretty good. I think it was more so Ultra Prime looking a little bit better than we anticipated. I said before yesterday's recording, or I said during yesterday's recording, that Ultra Prime is a team that I'm looking forward to going forward. And we could see here in the schedule, they play TES on the 15th. And I can already tell you that's a spot where I'm going to be on Ultra Prime. I think those teams, although looking forward head too far, TES is not that much better. So that's already a look ahead spot for me. And then over in the LCK, the scoreboards are up. We were on the DRX side, and they got 2-0'd by Sandbox. I'll be honest, this is one I did not see coming kind of at all. I thought DRX was definitely the much better team on paper. Um, it was kind of hard to pinpoint exactly where it went wrong, but I think a lot of the blame can be put on Kingen in this Graves versus Tryndamere matchup. I'm not sure why they went back to it after it looked so one-sided in the first game. I think that was a large reason why they ended up losing is this pretty terrible draft. It ended up being about the same draft both games. Sandbox kind of just outdrafted them. I think the what we can garner from this is that pretty much I feel like both teams looked really bad overall. Maybe it could be kind of a throwaway series for DRX, and they won't make that kind of mistake with Tryndamere again. But they still looked out of sorts regardless. I'm still not buying the Sandbox side that much. It's hard to tell through one series. I mean, they looked okay, but I think pretty much from my thought process from watching the series was that both of these teams are in the bottom, probably 3 or 4 in the LCK, and they're maybe DRX has the pedigree to rise up through time, but they did not look good in those games yesterday. And then the second series was T1 Guangdong Freaks. For some reason, it's only showing one of the games, but it was the T1 2-0. This series pretty much went like almost exactly as I expected. It was pretty slow, low scoring kills, kind of as you would predict in a T1 Africa series. Not much action from either side, but T1 was able to garner leads through out macroing and just kind of being a little bit better of a team overall. So not much really to write home about in this series. Guangdong is still probably about where we expect them, probably mid-table, and then T1 is on the upper echelons. Then looking forward, we'll start in the LPL as we do. We have Invictus Gaming minus 550 over Thunder Talk at plus 360. And as we see the rosters here, this is the same roster that Thunder Talk ran out in their first series. It's day 4, I believe, and they're already getting their second series in. It's something you do like about the LPL. Then for the Invictus side, I should have had it pulled up, but they have Nini, Shun, UK, Zhao Yuzhe, and Lucas. We can try to pull up some information on these players. Obviously, we know Nini and Shun. They played some for Invictus last year in LPL Summer. Shun was their jungler the entire time. Nini had some fill-in time for the Shy. And obviously, replaced. We have UK replacing Rookie, which has to be seen as a downgrade. And then Lucas is the same when they had their rotating bottom lanes. We're checking out UK. He was the backup support in RNG. I believe he had a couple matches replacing Cryan. Yep. And he played with some matches for Cryan here in the LPL. And then mostly it was down in the LDL. And if you remember from yesterday, Starhorn or Royal Club, the RNG Academy, which is where UK played, they ended up getting... they lost in the finals to this Rare Atom Period team, and he was the mid laner for them. So obviously looking pretty good there. Then we look at Zhao Yuzhe in the match history here. You see they all played together at Demacia Cup. That's pretty good because it indicates that they've been practicing together for a while. These games happened December 19th. So it seems like their roster was decided and made up pretty early on, which is a pretty solid sign, all things considered. And then you look with Zhao Yuzhe. His match history, he was the Invictus Gaming Youth AD, so he's just kind of getting a straight promotion there. And then we know Lucas. So when you look at all things considered here, you definitely cannot be laying minus 550 with this much of a question mark with IG. Part of me, I don't know if it's bad behavior in wanting to kind of chase the underdog again, but I feel like these teams are not that far apart. On the Vegas odds lines, Invictus Gaming is minus 550. If I were to price this myself, I'd say maybe like minus 225, minus 250. I feel like, again, this is a pretty close a game. I think there is possibility that maybe we just saw a really bad performance out of Thunder Talk and they're not actually that bad. Again, it's unlikely, but it is possible. And although Neni and Shun are pretty strong in their respective positions, I'm just not liking what I saw from UK in his time last year. And as the backup is RNG, he, of course, got carried pretty hard by a really all-star roster everywhere else. And then Lucas has never really proven himself to be anything. Again, I love Puff and Southwind. I think they're really strong. And then, although New completely single-handedly lost them this series the first time around, I don't believe he's that bad. And I think maybe that was just a little bit of going against your former team. They know you till, they're going to camp you heavy, that kind of thing. So, call me crazy, but I'm going to the Thunder Talk side here at plus, what were they? Plus 360. I think this is probably a 2-1, although I could see an Invictus Gaming 2-0 easily, and I look pretty silly here. But that's where I'm going to be leaning. Again, for the DFS side, I think you're going to want Puff and Southwind. They're probably going to be the driving force of winning a game. And then probably New as well. They did have him on some carries, like Gangplank, although he looked really bad with them. That's what he was playing. Then for the IG side, I'd imagine they'd continue to be like Nini and Shun focused. I'm not sure. Probably UK would be the third option of most involved. I'd imagine they'd let their bottom side be pretty self-sustaining, kind of on an island. They'd probably just let Zhao farm it up. That would be my guess. Although we don't have much other than Demacia Cup to go off of. Then heading into the second series here, we have Weibo Gaming, formerly Suning, against Team WE. But this is a much different Team WE roster. They have Biu, who was the Suning top laner, I believe. Let me pull this up here. Yeah, he was with Suning in February 2020, so I guess it has been a while, but he was a pretty solid top laner with them. And then we look at they have View starting in jungle. You guys remember View briefly played last year when they were trying to figure out support, and they ended up bringing in a View and then put Bei Shang on like support or something. Like it was a silly thing, and they lost a game from it. See if I can bring up that scoreboard. I don't know. We're just wasting time here a little bit. But then we all know Shanks. He's been their mid laner for a while. Someone I do not rate at all. I would say he's probably a bottom 5 LPL mid laner in my opinion. And then for the bottom lane, where they have Stay and Kadaya. Kadaya was formerly with LNG. He was kind of the duo with Light, I believe. When they were with the LNG LDL team, it was kind of Light, or maybe it was like LP and Kadaya. Let's see here, it was LP and Kadaya. That was the bottom lane duo there. And then we have Stay, who is just coming from the WE Academy, just being brought up from that. Played one game with them last year, lost it as a Ziggs game. Probably not much to tell from that, but just kind of getting a straight promotion there. If you guys saw my tier rankings, I had WE as the worst team in the league, and I think they're probably I would still have them there. Stay and Kadaya just don't do it for me really at all. It just seems like such a weak spot. Shanks, again, I just don't think he's that good. We don't know that much from View. I guess we don't know much from Stay either. But it's hard to see them when they were losing in the LDL to think that they're going to come up into the stronger league and then start winning. So the only thing they have is Biu against the Shy. If you guys know me, you know that I don't like the Shy at all. I think he is one of the most overrated players in the entire world, especially by Western media and just Western people who cover League of Legends as a whole. I'm not sure what the obsession with the Shy is. I guess he's just like a hyper aggro player, and it's funny when he goes 0-6 or something. I'm just not sure, honestly. There is something with the Weibo side here that they have on still starting instead of Sword Art. Sword Art was probably top 3 support before making his move to TSM, where he kind of just got a paycheck there. So I'm a little bit surprised why On is starting still, but I don't think that should matter. SFM, Angel, Huanfeng, On. I mean, this is still the same team that was pretty strong last year. Although they do get a downgrade in the top role, I don't think the Shy can hinder them that much in this roster. I do look at Weibo as a team to potentially target against in the future. I'm not sure if, who they play next, but that's probably going to be a look-ahead spot for me. Is a decent team against Weibo. I think they'll probably be pretty overrated, especially for some reason with the Shy, like I said. And that should be the LPL. My quick run through for the LPL is, I believe, a Thunder Talk upset 2-1 over IG at plus 350, I believe. And then I'll go with Weibo as the 2-0 in the minus 260. Handing over to the LCK for the second league of games. Again, we will not have rosters for the LCK games, except for maybe the first series. Sometimes they get released on Twitter. Usually features look up LCK lineups, LCK roster, something like that, hopefully about 30 minutes before lock, but sometimes it can come down to the wire like 5 minutes, a couple minutes before lock. So keep an eye out for that if you have questions about the roster in the first set of games. We'll never know the second set of games starting roster in the LCK at least. And then the first series here is Hanwha against Nongshim. So looking at the Hanwha roster, it will be Dudu. It's hard to tell whether it'll be Onfleek or Willer. That's kind of a wash either way. Onfleek is probably better, but I mean, kind of splitting hairs in terms of average fill-in junglers there. They have Karis in the mid lane, who is the coming up from the Genji Academy team, and then we saw yesterday with the Genji Academy bottom lane doing well. So maybe they're a strong piece that you can build off of. But for the bottom lane and support, sorry, my throat's kind of giving out on me here. They have a Sam D and Vista. Sam D coming from Thunder Talk, formerly with like Suning Victory 5, played in the LPL. He was okay. He wasn't necessarily a big problem. He could do well when he was catered to. And then Vista has been their support for a while. He's okay, but he's a role swapped AD to support. Still feels a little unnatural for me. So this Hanwha team is not something I like at all. And as you could tell by the odds here that Nongshim is minus 800 favorite. And that's because if you look at their roster, I mean, they have Kana, Dread, BDD, Ghost, and Effort. I mean, I liked the Nongshim roster last year, but they did get some solid replacements. Kana is one of the best tops in the world. I don't think there's any question about that. Dread is a pretty fun, aggressive jungler if his team enables it, which I think this maybe could. Then you have BDD, who, of course, everyone knows is one of the best mid laners in the world. Ghost. I think people give Ghost a kind of a bad rap, just because he was a weak point with the Dom 1 roster. But I think he did his role pretty well, playing on an island, kind of. I think he's actually a pretty strong AD, and I think this Nongshim team will benefit from him, because I think they still want to continue playing through top and mid, much like the old Dom 1 roster would. Then effort and support. I mean, this is going to be a strong LCK team. I think they should get the job 2-0 against this Hanwha team. Oh, my apologies. I'm trying to get through the end of this one. Then we have Dom 1 minus 425 against KT roster plus 290. The Dom 1 roster, as you can see, they have Hoya or maybe Birdle. It's hard to imagine which top laner would be playing. But then they have Canyon Showmaker still, and then a new bot lane coming over from Nongshim and Duck Dom and Kellen. I like this bottom lane. It feels like it's kind of an adjacent move. I don't think they necessarily got better or worse in the bot lane. I think they, obviously when you have Canyon and Showmaker, it's going to make the roster look better as a whole always, considering how strong those two players individually are. But Hoya and Birdall, they're obviously going to be a downgrade from Khan. I think Khan just brought something that nobody else will in terms of experience and strong individual play regardless. Then looking at their opponent, KT roster, they have Rascal, Cuz, or Gideon. I'd imagine that would be Cuz, but you don't know. Arya. He was from the Detonation Focus Me. You probably remember him from Worlds. Didn't do a lot of things there. He was okay, but it's hard to tell when you're playing for a Japanese roster like that. And then you have Aiming in Life. I mean, this seems like a kind of Africa style roster where they're kind of gatekeepers. They have some solid players in every role, but they're not gonna compete really. So this one does seem a little mispriced, honestly. I think Dom 1 is still getting some name recognition here that they kind of, I mean, they deserve it. They're obviously Canyon, Showmaker, and Dom 1 have been a staple, strong team for a long time. But I think this series could be a lot closer. I don't think I'm necessarily going to take the KT upset, but I think this is one where I'm just going to exit out. I think maybe Dom one get it done 2-1. I think this is just going to be a lot closer than it looks like. We have replacing 3 players on the Dom one side. I think this whole KT team is kind of new and coming together, so it might take them some time as well. But you're just asking a lot. I think at minus 425 or whatever, minus 425. This will probably be a dogger pass situation, as my friend Cody Saptic would say. So yeah, that's where I'm leaning for that one. Probably just gonna leave that one alone from both sides. To quickly recap the scores, I believe I'll have Weibo 2-0. I'll take Thunder Talk in the upset 2-1. I'll go with Dom 1 2-1, but this one honestly could be like a kind of a coin flip. And then I'll give Nongshim 2-0, and then that'll be it for me. I'm trying to get through this cough and stuff. Trying to make these videos as a personal goal for me to try to get one of these out every day. Yeah, that is going to be it for me. Good luck, everyone. I'm glad we managed to get the plus 350 rare atom yesterday. Hopefully that helped some people out. I actually didn't end up playing that. I decided just to go with like a little bit safer of an option with DRX and LNG. Obviously did not turn out that way. So that sucks for me. On the DFS side, I'm actually 0 for 3 on the year, despite having a lot more winning selections than I have losing ones. I think my roster construction just has not been optimal at all. So hopefully we can get that back on the road, and that'll be it for me. Thank you guys.